January 30th, 2000. Super Bowl 34 down in Atlanta at the Georgia Dome between the St. Louis Rams and the Tennessee Titans. On the field, the game would be one of the most memorable Super Bowls of all time, culminating in arguably the most iconic tackle in NFL history. While the action on the field was memorable, the action off of it with the advertisements was pretty memorable as well. There were 14 advertisements from .com companies, leading many to call this game the .com Bowl. This was at the height of the .com bubble, and all of these companies wanted a piece of the action. Now, a Super Bowl advertisement is a pretty expensive venture to begin with. It's the most expensive 30-second advertisement you can possibly buy. Less than a decade prior in 1994 at Super Bowl 28, you could get a 30-second ad for under $1 million. But 6 years later, at Super Bowl 34, the price for a 30-second ad had doubled to over $2 million. So this is not something you take lightly. You want to make sure that all the kinks are straightened out and that all the rough edges are smooth before you decide to invest this much money into a Super Bowl campaign for practically the entire country to see. And on January 30th, 2000, OnMoney.com made themselves known to the world by airing a 30-second ad at the big game. They had put themselves on the map. There was just one small problem. OnMoney.com wasn't up and running. The website didn't work. This is the story of a company's decision to advertise their website at the Super Bowl, despite the fact that they didn't have a working website. Now, before I talk about the company and the decision and everything else under the sun about this move, I'm going to play the advertisement that they ran first. Here it goes.
These finances.
I paid this.
Say goodbye to financial chaos. Consolidate and manage all your accounts at onmoney.com.
Now, on the surface, this is not an awful advertisement, especially considering the fact that the advertisement wasn't even done until the Wednesday before the Super Bowl, and wasn't even shown to staff members until that Friday. I'm not sure that it's particularly memorable, but there is a pretty good design there with the monster. Now, it wasn't even close to one of the best ads of the night, nor was it even close to the best .com ad of the night, as Pets.com put together one of my favorite Super Bowl ads of all time. But it was competent, and it certainly wasn't, well... If you want to hear more about that, I'll leave a link in the description. But the story here isn't about the actual content of the advertisement. Again, on its own, it's a perfectly fine advertisement. The real question is, why? Why did this company even air the advertisement to begin with when their website didn't even work? Now, to first understand this question, we have to go back a bit to the .com bubble. Here's a brief rundown. In the late 1990s, more and more Americans were getting computers and had access to the internet. And because of this, everyone was trying to cash in on this new phenomenon. Any company during this time that simply had a .com in their name became huge, as investors kept dumping money into these companies in the hope that they would become profitable. Sometimes, these were complete illusions, as company stock prices would triple and even quadruple in some cases, even if their website wasn't even a finished product. Between 1995 and 2000, the NASDAQ index quintupled, going from under 1,000 to over 5,000. And a lot of these companies started spending their money on advertising. Lots and lots of advertising. It was reported that some startups spent as much as 90% of their budget on advertising. At Super Bowl 34, OurBeginning.com spent $4 million on ads, despite the fact that their revenue in 1999 was only $1 million. That's right, they spent 400% of their revenue from 1999 on a Super Bowl ad. And as this industry was beginning to rise with absolutely no signs of slowing down, Super Bowl 33 came along. And at this Super Bowl, there were two .com advertisements that aired that would play a huge impact on the next Super Bowl. Number one, HotJobs.com aired this advertisement.
Hot jobs.
Finance.
Buy, sell, you're fired.
Who's the man?
Where can you find your dream job? HotJobs.com. Thousands of hot jobs at top companies like Yahoo, eBay, and Oracle. So you'll find your perfect job.
Bingo.
Oh, yeah.
HotJobs.com.
This was a company that had made just $4 million in 1998, and here they were blowing 50% of their revenue from that year on a Super Bowl ad. But the move paid off. Its share increased from $8 to $33, and the aftermath of this ad showed that a .com company advertising at the Super Bowl could pay off. The second big advertisement that aired at the Super Bowl? Well, that turned out to be one of the greatest Super Bowl ads of all time.
When I grow up, I want to file all day.
I want to claw my way up to middle management. Be replaced on a whim.
I want to have a brown nose. I want to be a yes man.
Yes, woman. Yes, sir. Coming, sir.
Anything for a raise, sir.
When I grow up,
I want to be underappreciated.
be paid less for doing the same job. I want sunshine blowing up my dress.
When I Grow Up is a critically acclaimed advertisement, and it put Monster.com on the map. To this day, the company exists, and it survived the .com bubble. The numbers that the company was pulling in the aftermath of the big game were gigantic. Even though Monster.com spent roughly 1/5 of their marketing budget on 30 seconds, the gamble paid off big time. CEO Jeff Taylor called the decision to gamble at the Super Bowl one of the best decisions that we've ever made. And traffic on the website increased from 600 job searches per minute to anywhere from 1,500 to 2,900 job searches per minute. Super Bowl 33 proved that .com ads, when done properly, could lead to monumental gains. And other companies took notice. And at the following Super Bowl in 2000, while HotJobs.com and Monster.com decided to take another crack at advertising, there were 12 more companies eager and ready to throw their hat into the ring. So what exactly does OnMoney.com do? I'll let Jim Blumenfeld, the chief marketing officer for the company, explain.
I think the difference for us is that we're not in the business of developing financial services and products. We actually are just a link to the right services and products for individuals, and as a third party and unbiased view of those products and services with the right planning and educational components behind that, we think we offer the consumer something different in the marketplace.
In a nutshell, OnMoney.com was a website to help people manage their money. And when Super Bowl 34 rolled around, they were ready to show this off to the world. Much like other .com companies before them, they went all out on advertising. They were going to go on a 3-month campaign advertising on late night shows and primetime shows about how easy it was to manage your money on this website. The campaign cost $30 million, with a good chunk of that going toward this Super Bowl ad. And they even released a 10-minute behind-the-scenes documentary about the making of this advertisement. I'm not sure why they did that, but I will leave a link in the description for that if you want to see it. This was an aggressive marketing strategy, to say the least. There was just one small problem. Yeah, the website didn't work. I'm not talking about problems here with being able to handle the unexpected increase in traffic. I'm not talking about a tiny glitch here or there. I mean the entire website just flat out didn't work. It wasn't ready to go. They spent $30 million on an advertising campaign, including over $2 million on a Super Bowl ad, plus the money it cost for the production of said advertisement, and they couldn't even have the website up and running. It was still in the beta phase. If you wanted to sign up, you couldn't. In fact, they were launching the entire site that night, which, shocker, didn't work. The advertisement aired during the fourth quarter, which was a pretty lucrative spot considering the fact that the game between the Rams and Titans was super close, and nobody had left their television screens at this point. And as I mentioned earlier, I don't think this is a bad advertisement or an awful advertisement, but it wasn't very memorable. Among the .com ads that aired that night, it placed near the bottom in terms of recall and retention after the game. One marketing consultant for Coca-Cola summed it up pretty nicely. He said, "I like the ad, I understand the ad, but I'm not going to do anything about it." But again, that wasn't the biggest problem with the ad. The problem was that the website flat out didn't work. And in the "you can't make this stuff up" department, after the advertisement aired, Chief Executive Vincent Passione called up company headquarters and asked the staff members at the office how they were handling the launch. Turns out, the staff members weren't handling the launch at all. During this time period, instead of actually trying to fix the website and get it ready just in case the 100 million or so people who watched the game wanted to see what this was all about, they were spending their time on usatoday.com voting for the ad in the newspaper poll of the best advertisements of the night. Seriously. They spent their time spamming the USA Today poll. That decision by staff members was definitely a choice. And no, they did not win that poll. As you can probably imagine, it was all downhill from there. Many people forgot about the ad, feeling that it got lost in the clutter of the other .com ads. And those who didn't forget about the ad and went to onmoney.com to check and see what it was all about, found a broken website and couldn't sign up. After the ad aired, company members were talking about potentially airing 2 commercials at the next Super Bowl, or even sponsoring the entire halftime show. Instead, this didn't happen. The .com bubble burst, to the point where only 3 companies even aired an advertisement at Super Bowl 35. Practically every .com company that aired at Super Bowl 34 ended up losing money that year. And onmoney.com went defunct in 2002. Can you imagine if Apple released their iconic 1984 ad, and then the very next day, they didn't unveil the computer? Instead, imagine if they had absolutely nothing. That's pretty much what onmoney.com did at Super Bowl 34. And it ended with pretty predictable results. So let this be a lesson to all advertisers at the Super Bowl. And this should go without saying, but apparently someone didn't get the memo. If you're going to advertise your company or your website at the Super Bowl, make sure it exists.